The sound of my grandson's laughter was the last thing I heard before the world tilted. One moment I was lifting a slice of birthday cake. The next, my legs turned to water and the expensive porcelain plate shattered on the floor. My son-in-law, Silas, was the first to reach me. His face a perfect mask of panic. "Amara, can you hear me?" he shouted, cradling my head. But as my vision blurred, I saw it. For just a second before the concern took over, his eyes held a flicker of something else. Triumph. If you're watching this, hit subscribe and drop a comment telling me where you're tuning in from. Before we get to how I ended up on that floor, you need to understand something about me. I've lived 72 years, and I didn't build a chain of successful bakeries from nothing by being a fool. When someone tries to murder you at your own great-grandson's birthday party, you notice. Especially when that someone married your only daughter for one reason alone. 2 hours earlier, my house was filled with the sweet, happy chaos of family. Balloons bobbed against the ceiling, and little Finn was tearing into presents with glee. My daughter Lena beamed, her arm linked with Silas's. "See, Mom. I told you we should host Finn's party here. This house needs more life," she'd said. Silas had nodded, flashing that charming smile that never quite reached his cold blue eyes. "Absolutely, Amara. You shouldn't be alone so much." I should have sensed the trap then. Silas, who usually found my old-fashioned home quaint, his word for outdated, was suddenly insisting on handling everything. The food, the drinks, the cake. He even brought his own special artisan lemonade. Just for me because he knew I loved it. The party was in full swing. I was showing my old friend, Arthur, the new rose bushes in the garden when I saw it. Through the kitchen window I watched Silas. He glanced around, a nervous twitch in his jaw, and then pulled a small, unlabeled bottle from his pocket. My heart froze solid in my chest as I saw him pour a clear liquid into a tall, frosty glass, the one with a lemon slice on the rim, my glass. A smart person would have screamed. A normal person would have confronted him. But I've learned that to catch a rat, you sometimes have to let it think it's one. So I just smiled at Arthur and kept watching. Silas picked up the glass and walked toward me. His smile sickly sweet. "You look warm, Amara," he said. "I made this just for you." I took the glass. "How thoughtful, Silas." I thanked him, my voice steady. I held that cold, poisoned glass for what felt like an eternity. Then I saw my chance. Silas's obnoxious little terrier, Gizmo, was scampering underfoot, knocking into people. In the commotion, as Silas turned to scold the dog, I quickly switched my glass with the one he'd just set down for himself. It was a simple, quiet movement. When he turned back, I was sipping from his original, safe glass. "Delicious," I lied. He smiled, a real, ugly smile this time, and picked up the glass I'd left for him. He didn't drink it immediately. He held it, waiting. He was waiting for me to collapse. But it was him. About 10 minutes later, he took a long swallow. Within seconds, he started coughing, a harsh, ragged sound. He clutched his throat, his face turning a frightening shade of red. I can't breathe," he gasped, stumbling against the picnic table. Lena screamed. "Silas! What's happening?" The perfect party dissolved into panic. As he choked and wheezed, his eyes found mine across the yard. They were wide with a horror that wasn't just physical. It was the shock of a man watching his own evil plan explode in his face. And in that moment, he knew that I knew. The paramedics swarmed the backyard. "Possible severe allergic reaction," one yelled. As they loaded a struggling Silas into the ambulance, Lena turned to me, her face streaked with tears. "Mom, what did he eat? What happened?" I put a comforting arm around her. "I don't know, darling. It was so sudden." But my mind was racing. This wasn't an allergy. This was an attempt. And my gentle daughter had no idea she was married to a monster who wanted her mother dead. I followed the ambulance to the hospital, my hands clenched tight on the steering wheel. This was far from over. At the hospital, the doctors were confused. "His symptoms are inconsistent with any known allergen," one doctor murmured to a nurse. They mentioned something about a possible toxin, something that caused rapid swelling of the airways. Lena paced the sterile waiting room, a wreck of nerves. I sat calmly watching. I was no longer the victim. I was the hunter. Silas survived, of course. The doctors pumped his stomach and gave him powerful antihistamines. He was kept overnight for observation. When Lena and I were finally allowed to see him, he was pale and weak in the hospital bed. But his eyes, when they met mine, were sharp and full of hate. "Mom," Lena said, turning to me the next day at my house. "Silas thinks. He thinks someone might have put something in his drink by accident. Maybe a cleaning chemical." Her voice was shaky. "He's talking about safety, Mom. He's so worried about you living here all alone." And there it was. The new strategy. If poison didn't work, fear would. Silas was going to use his own poisoning to convince my daughter that I was a doddering old woman who couldn't be trusted to live safely on my own. He was going to try to have me declared incompetent. The game had just changed, but I was ready to play. I called my lawyer, Beatrice, a fierce woman who had handled my business affairs for decades. "Amara, this is serious," she said after I told her everything. "If he files for guardianship, we need to be prepared." We spent the afternoon building a fortress of paperwork. New will, ironclad trust, medical directives naming Lena, not Silas, as my decision-maker. I also hired a private security firm to install discrete cameras all around my property. Not just for protection but for evidence. I needed to know what Silas would try next. A week later, Silas was released from the hospital. He and Lena came over for a family talk. He moved slowly, playing the frail victim perfectly. "Amara," he began, his voice soft. "This incident has shaken me. To think that something in your own home could be so dangerous. It's made me realize we need to protect you." He suggested a wonderful assisted living community, called The Oaks. "It's more like a luxury hotel," Lena added, though she looked unsure. "You'd have people checking on you all the time." I smiled gently. "It sounds lovely. But this is my home." Silas's patience cracked. "Amara, be reasonable. You're not a young woman anymore. What if you'd drunk that poison instead of me?" The room went silent. Lena looked at him, confused. "Poison? You said it was an allergic reaction." Silas stammered, realizing his mistake. A figure of speech, darling. Whatever it was." I saw the first flicker of doubt in Lena's eyes. It was a small crack, but it was enough. I had to widen it. I started my own investigation. An old friend from my bakery days knew a man who knew things. Within days, I had a report on Silas. Gambling debts. Massive ones. He had taken out several high-interest loans, and he was drowning. Then came the big discovery. A life insurance policy on my life for $1 million. He'd taken it out just 6 months ago. The motive was crystal clear. He needed my money to save his own skin. The final piece of the puzzle came from my new security cameras. They caught Silas late one night, sneaking into my garden shed. On the video, he was tampering with the lid of a gasoline can I used for the lawnmower, loosening it so it would leak fumes. He was planning to stage a tragic accident, a fire caused by my forgetfulness. I had all the evidence I needed. It was time to end this. I invited Silas and Lena over for dinner, telling them I had an announcement about my future. Silas arrived looking like a cat that had swallowed a canary. He thought I was going to agree to move to the Oaks. After we ate, I sat them down in the living room. "I've given it a lot of thought," I said. "And you're right, Silas. I shouldn't be alone." His smile was triumphant. "But," I continued, "I've decided on a different solution. I'm signing the house over to Lena. Today." Silas's smile vanished. "What? Why?" "Because family takes care of family," I said calmly. "And I know my daughter would never let anything happen to me, or to this house." I slid the legal documents across the coffee table. This was my masterstroke. By giving the house, my single most valuable asset, directly to Lena, I was cutting Silas out completely. He would never be able to touch it. He stared at the papers, his face turning purple with rage. This is ridiculous. Lena, you can't possibly manage this place. But Lena was looking at the documents, then at me, then at Silas's furious face. The doubt in her eyes grew. Why are you so angry, Silas? She asked quietly. This is a good thing. Mom would be safe with us. No, he shouted, slamming his fist on the table. This isn't the plan. The second the words left his mouth, he knew he'd lost. The room was frozen. What plan, Silas? I asked, my voice dangerously soft. It was then that I played my final card. I picked up the TV remote and pressed play. The screen lit up with the video of him tampering with a gasoline can. Lena watched, her hand flying to her mouth in horror. What is this? Silas, what were you doing? Silas was speechless, his lies collapsing around him. I then handed Lena the file from the private investigator. The gambling debts, the life insurance policy. She read it, her hands trembling, tears streaming down her face. You wanted to kill my mother, she whispered, the truth finally dawning. For money. Silas crumpled, all his bluster gone. He started begging, crying, but it was too late. Lena saw the monster he truly was. The police arrested Silas for attempted murder. The evidence was undeniable. Lena was devastated, but she was strong. She filed for divorce immediately. The last I heard, Silas was facing a long prison sentence, and his creditors were tearing apart what was left of his life. As for me, I didn't give my house to Lena. That was just a bluff, a piece of paper Beatrice had drawn up to force Silas's hand. But I did rewrite my will. I left everything to Lena in a trust that no future husband could ever touch. Today, Finn and I are baking cookies in my kitchen, the same kitchen where Silas tried to kill me. The house is still filled with love and laughter, just without the poison. Lena is healing, stronger than she ever knew she could be. I look at my family and I feel a deep peace. They thought I was just a helpless old woman. They thought my age made me weak. But they were wrong. My age made me wise, made me patient, and it gave me everything I needed to protect what's mine. So if someone thinks they can push you around because you've got a few gray hairs, show them how wrong they are. Sometimes the greatest strength is the kind that waits quietly for the right moment to strike. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to Anon Voices, and share your own story of strength in the comments below. Your voice matters.